Hi, Chris Brown here. Going to do a walkthrough of my application this week. This week the assignment was to create a Scripture Journal web application. And before I do the walkthrough, just want to call out a few of the styling and design features of the app. You'll notice that I chose to only use a nav bar and no header. With the very few links that I needed in the nav bar, the header was really just a waste of space, so I got rid of that. Also, from a styling perspective, my labels for my inputs, you can see that they're just part of the box now, which I think is a really cool feature. And you'll see that throughout the site. I did use Bootstrap and some custom CSS to do all of the styling for this. And you'll also note that the font is a custom Google font. So with that, let's go ahead and do the walkthrough. So the requirements for the app this week were that you should be able to view all scriptures. And so you can see here's my list of all the scriptures. It has a couple of pages because I entered more than 5 scripture records. And you can see that it pages just fine. You're supposed to be able to add a new scripture. So you'll notice up in my nav bar, I have an add a journal thing up there. So I can come in here and let's put in a well-known one. Let's do John 3:16. And I'm not going to type the whole thing, but just enough so you can see it's working. Okay, there's my journal. I'm going to go and click add. And one of the other features that I did is I wanted my most recent entries to be at the top. So my default for my table here is that it's going to sort in descending order on date added. Now I can change that. I can sort so that the oldest one is listed first. I can also sort by book so that you can see all the books together. So really it's fairly flexible. You can kind of sort it however you want. The requirements for the app were that we shouldn't be able to sort on chapter and verse, so you can see that that's not available. Okay. We're also supposed to be able to edit an existing scripture, so you can see by each entry I've got a link that will take me to the edit for that. So let's just go edit the one that I just added. And so you can see in there, one of the things I wanted to do was actually be able to see the ID number that got assigned for that journal. So that's displayed up here. And I'm just going to add a few ellipses there and submit those changes. Now, how do I know if that actually changed? Well, I can also view. I made the entry in under date added the link to be able to view that journal. And so you can now see, yes, indeed, that actually was changed. A couple of things I did here is collapsed the book, verse, etc. down into a single item that I'm just calling scripture. And you'll notice I can't enter anything into any of these boxes. I can, however, cut and paste from them, which might be a handy feature. So I can do that. And then how do I get back? Well, I just click on my home thing in my nav bar and it brings me back to where I was. Okay, so another thing that we're supposed to be able to do is delete a scripture record. So you can see over on the right hand side I included a link to be able to delete it. It doesn't delete it directly. It takes me to a form where I can look at it. And then if I really do want to delete it, I'll just click delete journal and it's gone. So that's working. Another feature is it wanted me to be able to search by the book. So I'm going to search for anything from Moroni that I put in here. And you can see I've got 2 entries. It also wants to know, can you search by keyword? And so I know several of the scriptures have "and" in it. So I'm going to search by that. And you can see that it pulls all of those up, which is cool. And then something that I really thought was neat, I worked through the process to be able to do the search so that if I put something in both search boxes, that it would work. It would search by both of those criteria. And so there you can see I'm searching by Moroni and ghost, and it pulls up that one single scripture, which you can see down in here. There's the word ghost. And it also has the word ghost in the note. So that is working as well. Was really happy about that. I already demonstrated that I could sort by book. I can sort by the date added. Those were 2 additional requirements. And then the last requirement was that it only show 5 scriptures at a time, which you can see that it does here. And the paging takes care of the rest. So the interesting thing with the paging is that when I went to the validator, it didn't really like one thing because of the way it builds the tables. And this is kind of beyond our control. This is what that WebGrid helper is doing behind the scenes. And so while the validator doesn't like it, it works. And I'm not able to really change that. And then the other thing that the validator didn't like was just that I don't have that heading because I chose just to use the nav bar as sort of my header as well. So that was really the only thing the validator didn't like. And I validated all the other pages. They were clean other than it complaining about not having the heading in those pages. And as far as the CSS, I used Bootstrap. If you've used Bootstrap before, you know that W3 CSS does not like Bootstrap whatsoever. You'll get all kinds and tons of errors. But I did validate my custom CSS, and you can see here that that came back clean. So that's pretty much my app. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out, and I hope you've enjoyed watching this. Thanks.